Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Sandman Season 2, Episode 5. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we're picking up in the aftermath of last episode, and Dream returns to the dreaming, and Lucian asks him how it went, and it's like, well, I have no intention of looking for my brother, but it is kind of the conversation of Lucian believing it actually is probably to his benefit to talk to his brother, and he's like, why? It's like to understand why he left, because he's asking Lucian to look into like, yo, why is it that when I'm looking for my brother, even though I kind of have no interest, someone else is kind of pulling the strings, making it so like, no, we'll make double sure you can't find your brother. So he wants to know what that's all about and why. But Lucian's telling him it might do you some good to understand why your brother left. And he's like, I think once upon a time my brother tried to tell me, but I didn't listen. I didn't hear him. And it kind of goes back, what was it, 1597, and they're meeting at a place, and there's a monkey that has been like, or ape rather, had been like cut open, and it's just kind of like, what do they expect, that they'll reach its soul, that they'll take it to dreams? And Destruction was talking about like, look at what human advancement has done, like, you know, talking about what Newton has discovered, and Dream's kind of like, what are you bringing this up for? For him, it's like, eventually they will learn how to split the atom, which they do because the atomic bomb becomes a thing, and he knows it's only a matter of time, and it's like basically that humanity will be its own destruction, which Dream is like, yes, of course, you said it yourself, you've seen it time and time and time again. But it's just, for him, it's just like, do we really have to just let things take its course? Because Dream has always had the whole motif of, the whole angle of we shouldn't interfere with humans. I mean, obviously Desire called him out about that, like, very thing last episode. And it is, you know, you could tell, like, it was racking his brother. It was just like, the fact is, when the time comes, I will come in and I will basically be the harbinger. I will be their destruction. And, you know, Lucian's kind of like, that might just be why he ended up leaving. It's because he would have had to play his role, which, you know, Dream is like, there's no shame in our duty and responsibility. And Lucian's like, it might be when you are what's going to be the destruction of what you love, which, like I said, I think that does parallel into maybe why he distanced himself from his siblings, because he also is afraid, like, with all of them together, it's like the end comes for all of us, and we are kind of like not incapable of like having our effects on one another. Like, you know, Dream has his desires, despite Desire being an endless as well. Death comes from them all, meaning death would most likely come from the siblings as well, because, like, you know, I think that is a reality, which that's an interesting conversation we'll get to later. But I think he's scared that he will be the destruction of his family. He knows that he will be, because that is who he is. That is his purpose. And it's like, I don't have to lean into my duty. I think that's why he's off living like the secluded life he is, writing poetry and painting, no matter how much Barnabas is constantly shitting on how terrible of a poet and an artist he is, you know? So, but it's like, yeah, like, oh, yeah, in your dreams. But he's like, I don't dream. It's like, understandable, because if you did, it would make it a lot easier for Dream to find you. Because it's like, even though Dream's probably said, like, I didn't look for my brother, it's like, he could probably still sense him out there. Even if he's not actively looking for his brother, he probably subconsciously would be able to search out his brother and find him. And it's like, so I don't dream. It's like, I want to avoid my family. You'd understand if you met my family. So we had Dream trying to make things right with the whole Wanda of it all. So he went to Wanda's funeral. Didn't go to like the open casket funeral, but like her burial, and her family's there. And specifically the aunt she referenced last episode, who still calls or still prays for her. It's like, doesn't fully accept her, but still, unlike the rest of the family, stays in contact. And she loves her aunt, despite like, well, she doesn't fully accept me. But we find out the tragic situation of Wanda was buried as Alvin, and her aunt being like, this isn't for her, this is for them. And they're a very church-going family, so like, this was the only means to kind of, it's kind of like that double-edged sword of just kind of like, this was the only way this family was ever going to be around to see Alvin go, and it was the only way this was all going to work out. And it's just like it gives them some solace, and that there's something there. But it's also like, yeah, but should it matter about them? Shouldn't this be about respecting what Wanda wanted, you know, not what they wanted? But it's still just like, death is not your own. Death is everyone around you as well. So it's, despite your distance from your family, it's still it's such a complicated thing, because it's like, should your family have ownership over your death, how you are buried, how you will be remembered? It's like, can't they be remembered as Wanda? But it's like, because their family, what her family didn't accept that, and it's like her aunt was a lot more accepting of it, to the point that she even asked, like, was, it's like, he was never happy here, but was Wanda happy? And then Dream's like, Wanda lived to be themselves, and wholeheartedly, entirely. And even her aunt being like, well, how many of us can really say that? That is the thing, to live yourself, kind of live your truth, wholeheartedly, and not have that kind of, it's such a complicated thing. And then, even Death feels the same way when she shows up. She's like, yeah, it's kind of messed up that they did that, And obviously it's like, she's like, it's a good thing you came here, brother. And it's like, yeah, I just wanted to make one thing right, because he wanted to try and get Death to bring Wanda back. It's like, it's my fault that she died, but it's like, that's not how it works, brother. That's just not how it is. And so he's like, at least I came here to fix this headstone. Puts the book there, because her aunt had brought the book, The Marvelous Land of Oz, and ended up, he changed the gravestone to say Wanda. It's like, for him, it's like, it's at least the little things that I can do. And so, obviously, word got out about the whole delirium situation and lying to her about going after their brother. And, Death is like, you kind of have to make that right. And I love that he's just like, will you go with me? And she's like, I thought you wanted to make it right. I do. But it's just kind of like, I'm not good at these things. It's like, right. Because she was like, if I go with you, she'll think that I coerced you into going. He's like, but you did. And she's like, I thought you wanted to make it right. He's like, I do. So she's like, go ahead and kind of muster up the courage, brother. Go right ahead. Once again, I love the effect of what it looks like going into her realm. I didn't talk about it last episode, but her shattering the boundaries between this realm, the mortal realm, and her realm, and then Death doing the same thing, picking up a rock and shattering it. I'm like, it's getting cosmic stuff like that is so trippy and so cool. So he goes along his way, and Death stays behind to talk to Wanda, which Wanda doesn't feel too bad about what happened. She's like, it doesn't matter. Like, the hair or what I'm wearing, none of that mattered. The fact of the matter is, I got to be me, and no one could ever take that away from me. She's like, I will miss my body because, all the fun I had, but she is ready to pass on, because she talks about it. She's like, I used to hate this place, but she's like, Kansas, it's so beautiful. And then, ends up making her way with Death. It's like, I don't know what's next, but I'm ready for it. So I thought, once again, Death in her bedside manner, and just those moments she has with people when she's helping them along the way. It's always beautiful. It's really nice. But Dream makes his way to Delirium's realm. I like that train aesthetic. At first I was like, is that her entire realm? But we see that garden later on, I think, is her true realm. Or I guess it's the multifacetedness of her realm. Because that train felt more like a desire realm rather than delirium. But I wonder if that kind of ties into who she used to be. We find out later on she used to be Delight before she became Delirium. So maybe those facets of Delight isn't fully gone, makes up part of who she is. Kind of the duality of her delirium of being both this and what she was. Interesting timing, because similar conversation was had in the most recent episode of Resident Alien, talking about the whole notion of, once again, it's the culmination of your experiences. You are what you were, and you're also who you are now. It's all of that makes up the multifaceted nature of what we are, what existing is. But either way, the thing I was thinking about is the train reminded me a lot of, if you've seen Doom Patrol, it reminds me of James' train, the train to the underground. It kind of gave me that same effect. But he's making his way through the train, chasing after his sister. And then obviously he sees a version of Nada that it was meant to kind of dilute it. I mean, it's also his sister kind of distracting him, so he'd leave her alone. But also it's kind of a middle finger of hey, I'm going to use the thing that you were chasing after before to stop you from chasing him, because obviously this is what you care about more than me or siblings. But he walks past the fake Nada and talks to his sister, and he ultimately apologizes to her, because he's like, if you don't want to hear from me anymore, I'll leave you alone, but let me say this: I am sorry for what I did. I lied to you and I broke your trust. He's like, if I were in your shoes and one of our siblings ever did that to me, I would never forgive them. And he's like, I'm not asking for your forgiveness, but I do hope that we can start this quest, in wholeheartedness now, like, legitimately. And she's like, do you like me, Dream? He's like, well, you always seem to surprise me, which, you never fail to surprise me, which is something not many people are able to do. And he's like, so in a sense, he's like, I think I do like you. And she's like, I like you too when you're not being scary. So, okay. So let's go find our brother. They're not going to go after the last, was it Ithia, the last person on the list, because they're like, well, we're not going to endanger any more gods or mortals, which does seem like it is implying like Ishtar did die in that explosion. Obviously, the focus was more so on Wanda, but also like all those other mortals that died as well. So it's like we've got to handle this our own way, and we have to turn to someone else's help. We can't go to Death because she's not going to help. Despair and Desire are not helping. So it's like, we'll have to go to Destiny. It's like, he'll say no. It's like, yes, but our brother, it's not as much about what he says, or rather, it's more about what he doesn't say. So they go and visit him, and he expects them, and he's telling them not to go down this path. It's like, right, your brother left for a reason, and he's like, you don't know what will be waiting for you down this path. He's like, if you ask me a certain question, a path in his garden will open, and it will be open to you. But he's like, I'm pleading and I'm asking you not to go. But he's just like, I made a promise to our sister. And he's like, yes, and that ended up being a lie. But he's like, but it is a promise I plan to actually keep this time. So where can we find our brother? And he's just like, I can't fully tell you, but just like Ishtar said, you're going to need an oracle. Which he's like, there are no oracles. He's like, there is one. And it's like, your son. And then he's like, everything. My son, destruction, all of this. Like, you've known this was coming, like, ever since way back then. You've known what the path would lead to. I mean, it makes sense, him being Destiny and all that. He knows where these paths lead. He knows the long road. Even though it takes us a while to get there, he knows the pathway there. And so we end up learning about Orpheus, Dream's son, on, like, his wedding day to, was it Ariadus? I see the name spelled out, but I can never, like, I can never commit the pronunciation to, was it Eurydice? I think that's it. Eurydice? I'm butchering it, I'm sure. But it was their wedding day, and he had a dream about her dying, and he asked his father about it, and it's like, what about this dream? And he would say, father, it's like, dreams don't necessarily, they're up to interpretation. And he's like, well, can't you explain to me? He's like, no, I can't. He's like, but I'm your son. He's like, it's because you are my son. I think the point being, like, I can't give you special treatment. I would not do the same for anyone else's dreams. I have to leave it up to that person. I can't rob them of that, And even if you're my son, I can't make a special exception, which I think plays into why Calliope's so pissed at him. It's like, right, you as she says later on, you are unchanging. He will never change. It's like, he's stuck in his ways, sure, and he's very, like I said, time and time again, very rigid, but he is slowly changing. It takes a while. It's taking him a very, very long time. But it is a slow but still happening process. Obviously, the rest of the family shows up, and everyone gives their congratulations. I love Delirium being like, yeah, I was about to be married once, but it didn't work out. And she's like, it was probably my fault. So good luck. Despair kind of is like, yeah, most marriages end in divorce. It's like, Desire's like, well, I wish you both luck and move on, Despair. Stop ruining the mood. Death kind of gives her blessing as well. And Destiny is like, I do not wish well. I know. So he's like, I know what will be and what had happened. It's like, cool. Thanks, Uncle Destiny. You kind of just kind of had to be a party pooper. But it's kind of like, I mean, there comes a challenge with being the one who knows what is to come, what will be, and what has to be. It is its own burden, he has to bear. And you knew something was up the moment, like, the rest of the siblings left, and Dream's like, you staying? And she's like, I have something to do too, which Dream kind of recognizes, right, if Sis is here, that means someone here dies. Sadly, her nephew loses his wife on the day they get married. It's like, they were married for a couple hours before she was taken from him. A snake in the grass killed her, And he refused to go to her funeral. It's understandable, people grieve and deal with it in their own way, but Dream's like, you have to grieve her like, and then move on with your life. But he's like, she's dead. Like, how can I do that? It's like, it's going to hurt when you think about her from time to time, but you are still alive. She is dead. That you have to live. It's like, that's all you can do in that situation. It is not the easiest thing, as Dream kind of puts it, but it is the thing of, it is a reality of it. You do have to find a way forward. So he begs his father, I need you to go to Hades and Persephone and ask them to give her back. But Dream's like, I'm not going to, because they're going to want something in exchange, your life for hers. And he's like, then I'll pay that price. He's like, I won't give up my son's life, because you are my son, you know? You can't ask me to do that. But he's like, if you won't do this for me, then you're no longer my father. So you're putting him in such an impossible situation. I get it. You know, like, when it's someone you love, it's like, I'm willing to give up anything. So why won't you do this for me, Father? I've literally never asked anything of you until this moment. I've never needed anything until now. I'm begging you to do this for me. And that's the thing. Life is so finite, so you do have to enjoy it. It is unfair that you know, people's time is when it comes, and it doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem right. You know, some people get longer time and more time than others, but it is what it is. And for you to kind of try to be the special exception, like, oh, like, my love was taken from me too quickly, like, her time wasn't to come. But it's like, that's not up for you to decide. You know, the fact is that what makes you special, you think just because you have the people around you that could make this happen, that you deserve something that no one else gets. It's like, it's such a complicated thing, because I'm not trying to, like, bash him for it, because it's like anyone in that situation would be like, no, it's unfair. I will do whatever it takes. I will break any rule. I will do whatever it takes. I will make any sacrifice if it means getting her back. And so Orpheus's plan was, he was going to kill himself and join his love in the underworld, but destruction stops him, because he's like, your actions like that will make it so that you're more in love with the idea of loving the girl rather than the girl itself. That's not the answer in this regard. It's like, your father might not have chose to help you, but it's like, he does love you. He's not always the best at showing and conveying, you know, it in the best way. And he doesn't always recognize how much of an asshole he comes off looking like. Because for him, he's a very, like, enigmatic and pragmatic in a lot of ways of, like, it is what it is. You kind of have to accept it. And it's just like, well, you know, you need that human touch to kind of be like, no, things aren't what you... Once again, his sister definitely has way more bedside manner than him, so... the only person that can potentially help in this regard is Death. And I love how Destruction brought her about. Like, he, like, calls that explosion in a mountain, and it's like, right, you stop the explosion mid, you know, and that's the doorway into her realm. I'm like, oh, it's so dope. Like, the entrances, like, to their different respective realms. And I even love that line from Orpheus, like, oh, will she see me? And he's like, of course she will. I thought the line was going to be, that's your aunt. She's family. Of course she'll see you. But then Destruction saying, she comes to see us all sooner or later. I'm like, yeah, that's true. And I really liked Death's decorum, her realm, especially because she's wearing just modern clothes. And I guess it's supposed to be a representation of... It puts things in really interesting perspective. I guess specifically her, and maybe in conjunction or in comparison to her siblings. Like, everything's happening all at once. As Death, you are there at the beginning. You are there at the end of everything. So for you, time is like this. It is just a construct for you in particular, because it's like time is happening all at once, because you need to jump in and jump on. Like, time isn't linear for her. It's kind of happening all at once. And she pop-ins at the different endpoints. So I don't know if, like, the other Endless perceive things in that same fashion. I would assume that it's unique to her, but maybe it is applicable to all the other siblings as well. But I love that aesthetic and stuff like that, especially because her brother, Orpheus is like, don't you know the future? And she's like, no, I don't know the future. I don't need to know the future, because I am the future. Like, the end is the only sure thing of everything. And the fact is, I will always be there. So I always know what my future is going to be, because I will be there at everyone else's end of their lives. It's just so beautifully poetic. And it's just like, I love that, you know, this story waxes on so poetically and puts things in such a, like, philosophical manner. It's just like, I just love the way it's written. I'm sure that's just how the comic was written as well. But I think, you know, once again, you know, separate art from the artist type of situation. But I just love the just the way things are phrased, and it puts things in a really interesting perspective. But basically, like, no one can go to the underworld unless they're dead. And she can't make an exception. She talks about some of the people who did. It's like, that person was a freaking liar. They got drunk and then lied about going to the underworld, chaining Cerberus. That was all complete and utter bullshit. But she's like, I can send you to the underworld, but what it would mean is I would basically make it so that you can never die. You would become immortal, and I could never come to take you. And it's like, right, I hope you are okay with that choice, you know? And she makes it happen, because it's like, my nephew is pleading for me. It's like, I hope it's all worth it in the end, you know? And it's like, because he's like, oh, you think you'll be immortal? And he's like, he thinks that's a good thing, but she's like, you don't understand. Like, it's obviously from a mortal human perspective, having like, we will live and die and death comes for us all. Of course, it's going to seem so, oh my God, like, I'd love immortality, but like, to be the one that continues to persist, especially when like you want to be reunited with your love, she will die eventually. But you're thinking like, right, I will still have a moment more with her, years more with her, whatever the case may be, even if it's just an hour longer. But it's like, but that's the problem with the human condition. I mean, I think it is applicable to a lot of beings. It will never be enough. You're always going to want more. And if you're stuck there, meaning the two of you can never reunite, that's something he never really thought of. He was so focused on now and, you know, what he perceived to be the future. But it's like, once your death has been taken from you, like, you really don't, you were so caught up in the moment, you didn't really think things through. So he takes the journey to the underworld, sees all the souls around, and stands before Hades and Persephone. Well, specifically the Furies. They stand before him. You know, it's like, right, you shouldn't be here. They're known as like the kindly ones, at least from his perspective. But like the sisters are like, you shouldn't be here, you should leave. But he speaks before Hades and Persephone, and it's like, I want, you know, my love to be returned to me. And they're like, did you bring a song for us? And he does sing this very beautiful song about his love for his wife and wanting her back. And it moved not only Hades and Persephone, but even the Furies. And it's like, yeah, they're not going to be too happy about you making them shed a tear. So it's like, you're disrupting my world, because it's like the souls are rising in the background and surrounding him. And it's like, you can't let this persist anymore. You're disrupting our realm. So he's like, give me my wife back and I will leave. He's like, fine, we will make a deal, but with anything, there are rules and there are conditions. There is one path out of here. You must follow it. Your wife will follow you like a shadow, but you must not speak nor look back at her, because if you do, it will all be undone. Which I've seen a storyline adapted. Like, there was a TV show Merlin, which did a very similar thing. Someone can correct me. I don't know if I'm just conflating this, but like, doesn't Izanagi, like in Japanese mythology, doesn't Izanagi have a similar storyline? Maybe I'm conflating. Like I said, maybe I'm sure Izanagi probably has a completely different story, but I feel like I remember reading that about Izanagi. But like I said, maybe I'm remembering about reading Orpheus, and for whatever reason, I'm conflating Izanagi's story. I mean, there are different myths and folklore and mythologies that do overlap. It's a weird reference, not a weird reference, but if you've ever seen the show Supernatural, the angel Gabriel is actually the god of mischief, Loki. He is the angel Gabriel first and foremost, but when he was kicking it with the other gods, he came up with the name Loki. I'm like, oh, I'm a god, but it's like, no, I'm actually an angel. So I wonder if it's something applicable like that, like it's the same person just told across different mythologies type of situations. I was wondering if that was the case, but I'm like, I swear something else has done that too, where it's like, oh, you think I'm this person in mythology, but I'm also this person too. Like, it's all the same, it's just told from different religions. I feel like there's a story that did that, and I just can't remember what it was. But going into this situation, I'm like, I know what Orpheus' story is. He looks back. And it's like, because you can tell, like, he's getting closer to the light. His eyes are closed. It's like, I guess it was meant to be a thing of so he's not tempted. But you can also tell he's probably trying to listen to hear if she's behind him. And he's getting closer and closer. He calls her name. It's like, you do not speak to her. But saying her name is one thing versus speaking to her. But he turns around and looks at her, and he loses her. Like, he can never come back to get her. This was a one-shot deal, an opportunity. And he's forever robbed of that. And now he no longer can die, so they are permanently disconnected. And he's just like, I made the mistake of looking back. His mom came to visit him, and she tells him like, "Oh, I left your father because not only because he refused to help you, but it is a symptom of something larger. And the fact is, your father's so stubborn in who he is, and he refuses to change, and I can't be with him anymore." It's been a while, so I fully don't remember where the Calliope storyline ended. Like, doesn't she die at the end of that? Because she's the second half of the bonus episode that came out after season 1. I can't remember how that storyline ended, but I think she finally got death. Maybe, I don't remember. I'd have to go. I definitely should, probably before the second half of this season. Well, second part of this season, I should probably go back and even just watch that episode alone, just to have that full context of like where Calliope's story is, because I can't remember. I swear she ends up dying, but as a means of like her being finally set free, but I don't remember. Or maybe he just freed her in general. I can't remember. Either way, what were they called? They were called something, specifically the women that are coming to like ravage and kill everything and strip the flesh from men's bones. And his mother tried to warn him, but it's like, no, like, I have to go. They might be my only means to death because my aunt Death won't take me anymore. And so she's pleading with him not to do this. It's like, I'm telling you to run. I love you. I don't want you to go through this. He's like, you left father because he refused to help me, and you're doing the same. And so he says goodbye to his mother, walks into the wilderness, and is proceeded to be ripped apart, cut up. I mean, how they like cut off his head. One of them kissed his head and tossed it in the sea. But I'm like, yeah, the thing is, you're feeling all of that. You're not invulnerable. You are immortal, and you're living through all that. And so Dream comes to him. It's like, okay, this, basically some priest or whatever, I've seen it in their dreams, they will come upon you and they will kind of take care of you. He will kind of, I guess, be worshipped in that regard. Because it's having, known of, the God of War, specifically like the 2018 one in Ragnarok, the whole Mimir storyline of him kind of being punished by Odin. I was like, oh, like there's parallels with the Orpheus storyline in this regard. But for him, it's like, I can't do anything for you because, for one, you claimed I'm no longer your father, but also I can't kill you because killing you would be spilling blood, and the Endless are forbidden from spilling the blood of their own. So it's like, this is, your life is your life, and so is your death. And it's like, you created this situation. You should have never gone to my sister for a favor. It's like the monkey paw situation. Be careful what you wish for, because you have to be certain that you're willing to go down this route, and you thought you were, but when everything goes wrong, now you seek death, but like it's not coming to you like you want because your aunt will never come for you. Like, that was the deal. And it's like, can Dream change that? And he's begging with his father, please, please. But it's like, this is the path you chose. Goodbye, son. And it kind of goes back to, was Dream wrong in that capacity? Yes, because it's like the cruelty of leaving your son like that. But it's also like the element of, he is still your son, and you don't want to be responsible for killing your son. It's like, should he have done what his son wanted from the beginning? It's like, it's hard to say, because Calliope's like, no, like, you wouldn't be in this situation right now if your father had gone to Hades and Persephone to begin with. But it's like, your son would have probably been the cost, but it's also like, maybe, but it like, that would have been a better price to pay than this being the outcome that it is. Like, this is the more tragic ending of it all. Other, if Dream had been more sensitive to what his son wanted, I don't know. Like, is there a right decision in this? And, in retrospect, others will, well, at the time, others saw Dream as wrong. And I'm sure in retrospect, maybe Dream sees what he did was wrong, especially how he ended things with Orpheus, leaving his son the way it did. And I thought was so interesting when, like, we cut back to present day and Delirium is there being like, oh, what did you say to our brother? And it's like, kind of like, whatever I've said to him is kind of his business and not yours. You guys should abandon all of this. And I love Delirium being like, do you know why I am no longer Delight, brother? She's like, I remember. She's like, there are things that are not written in your book. I know things that are not written in your book, and paths that do not exist in this garden. And she made that certain in episode 1 of the season, because she was like, I know things about us that none of you do, because you guys think I'm the crazy kooky sister that you're just trying to like avoid, but it's like, I know things you don't know. And for whatever reason, that struck a chord with Destiny, because you are the one who are supposed to know. There are records of everything that is to come and what will be. And for her to say that, I think it struck a chord with him. And it's like, maybe even he can be blindsided on what's to come because of what she said. So I'm wondering what that means. And I think even he's wondering, like, is that her just speaking nonsense just to rattle me, or is there some truth to it? But Delirium goes over to try and talk to her brother. He's like, are you okay? And even like turn her eyes the same color. He's like, well, you can do it. She's like, yeah, I can do it, but it hurts a lot to do it. Because I think for her, it's like her very existence is kind of like this enigma, and just kind of like, it's like this scattering existence of like her having like to be all over the place, and a little, can come off ditzy, but it's just like she's so scatterbrained, literally, because like I don't think it's hard for her to like focus, and she gets distracted easily and her mind wanders. It's just the essence of her being as Delirium. And I think it's this situation of, in moments she can like change her being to like focus on it. In that moment, it's like, I'm gonna be me. I need to focus so I can be here for you in this moment, brother. And it's like, it hurts to do it, but he was like, you don't have to do that on my account. Kind of just like let what you are just be as it is. And so it's like, right, we have to leave, but Destiny's final warning was, if you seek destruction, those who seek it will find it. So do know like what awaits you. And he's like, farewell, brother, and leaves. And Dream tells Delirium where they're going. It's like, we're going to go find an oracle, my son, and he will want a boon in favor. And it's like, what's that boon? For me to end his life. And Delirium knows what that means. Like, once again, they're not supposed to spill their kin's blood, but it's like, what happens when they do? You know, how far are you willing to go? But it's like, for Dream, this is just like the Nada situation. It's like, not only am I going to find my brother, but this is me contending with past mistakes and regrets that I have. It's time for me to, just like the Nada thing, like, will she ever forgive me? Will my brother ever forgive me? I mean, my son, sorry. Will my son ever forgive me for leaving him in that state? We'll see where things end up going. This will be kind of like the mid-season finale next episode. It'll be the end of Volume 1. So I'm curious to see how that storyline plays out and where it ends, and what that sets up for Volume 2. We'll ultimately have to wait to see how this all kind of wraps up for now, rather. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.